Hey everybody, welcome to episode 54. Today's episode, I'm going to kind of go back into some Dungeons and Dragons stuff. Specifically, I want to talk about the campaign setting and the whole world in general of Dragonlance, and the novels too. I've got the gift pack of the novels. This is actually the third gift pack I think I had. Yeah, actually, I didn't have the gift pack originally. Originally, I just had the books, and then I got a gift pack like in the mid to late '90s. This same gift pack, and then I don't know where it went. Sold it off, traded it. Who knows where it went? I just don't know where a lot of my stuff is gone. But I acquired this one about 2 years ago, I think. I found it online. I found it on not thrift books. I wasn't using thrift books at the time. I think I just found it on eBay, and I asked the person. They had a lot, and they had the 3 books as a set, and I asked them, and it said set. I said, Do you have?" No. He had a picture of it, but it was like a store bought, not the store bought, like a picture off of the internet. It wasn't like a picture of the actual books. And he said, and I asked him, I said, "Do you actually have the gift set?" And he says, "Yeah." I said, "Do you have the box too?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Okay." So I ended up ordering it from him, and I think I paid like $20, I think, for the whole thing. I mean, I think these books new were like $5. It'd been 15 or so, maybe $12 back in the day. They came out in 1985, I believe, or 84. Let's check the copyright on this. I want to say 85, and I didn't get them right away. I got them probably 87-ish, right around there. And let's see here. 84, no, first printing, 84. And is this a first printing? This is a first printing, too. This doesn't have anything to do with thrift books, but remember I told you I had to repair some books. This cover just popped off when I was rereading it, and I had to put some clear tape on there and repair it, Does it affect the value of it? Probably. I don't care. I'll probably never get rid of this because, like I said, I'm just sick of rebuying stuff. So there's 3 books in the set. The books are by Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman. It's a husband and wife duo who wrote these books. They're I think it was based on Tracy Hickman's adventure. I think he was the dungeon master at the time, and he was running an adventure, and they kind of just based the books off of them. Now, Dragonlance, I know the original D&D world is called Greyhawk, but I don't think they considered it a campaign setting until after the multiple campaign settings started to come out. So I'm assuming that I'm assuming Dragonlance is the first Dungeons & Dragons campaign setting world, the world of Krynn. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I believe that's the case. But the thing is, D&D kind of just went through a change to it this time as well, and most notably is because of the artwork. Again, I'm not going to talk about the story as much. I'll show you. I'll give you a couple of excerpts into a graphic novel of it. Might show you a little bit more of the scenes. There is an animated version of it. It's made in the '90s and it's almost unwatchable. I tried to watch it and I thought it was terrible, so I wouldn't suggest going after the animated version of these. But there's a graphic. There was a DC comic, which I'll show you that. It wasn't that great. It's from the '90s, very '90s too, a very late '80s and early '90s. And then there's a graphic novel. A graphic novel is really good, and I'll show you. We'll go through some of the graphic novel just so you can see some of the scenes that are in this first book. Dragons of Autumn Twilight's the first book. The second book is Dragons of Winter Night, and then Dragons of Spring Dawning is the third book. All by the same author, husband and wife duo. I believe they're husband and wife. I think so. Not 100% sure on that, but I think they were, or I don't know if they're still married or what, but they pretty much created this world, and it was amazing. And like I said, I think probably the biggest thing that took me in on this was the artwork. This is the time when they kind of made that shift in 1983, and they brought on my favorite Larry Elmore, and they brought on like was it Kevin Easley, Keith Parkinson. I keep forgetting who the fourth guy is. But there's four new artists that came out, and they all do artwork for Dragonlance. It's not all just Larry Elmore, but I think Larry Elmore does the best version of it, just because he really locks down, he really nails the characters, and he really gives the characters their visual look. Like I said, this is a good one. It gets a little slow in the middle, right off the bat. I gotta say specifically when they go to the mines, I think it gets a little slow. It picks up in what do you call it? Dragons of Winter Night, and then of course it finishes off pretty strong in the third book. My personal favorite characters in there is probably, Gold Moon is probably one of my favorites, but I think I like Lorana, the elf girl, who's actually a dragon. I thought she was kind of neat. And she shows up in it, but she's not a major character. But I really liked her character when she was in it. I guess she's sort of towards the end. She's more dominant in it. No, I'll show you. There's more pictures and stuff of this. We'll go through the art book too, because they had a Dragonlance art book at the time. I don't have like the real. I've got a CBR of it, but I think it's like a fan made CBR. It's not a real version of it because the cover doesn't look right. And I had that book. I got it at Joe's Hobby Shop in Rochester when that came out. And of course, as far as the Dungeons and Dragons world, it also, and I'll show you these as well, it also moved over into, because it was a campaign setting, to the game. So there were a series of modules. And the modules were relatively based on the events in the books and the novels, pretty close. Especially the first few of them pretty much follow the storyline. So if you want to play a module, a D&D version of these novels, you can do that with those modules. And this is all first edition stuff, of course, because it's from the 80s. I believe Dragonlance went into second edition. I'm not 100% sure on that. I know they made a lot more novels than just the first few. So they also did these, what do you call it? Short story books, these little anthologies, starring a lot of the same characters, and they're pretty cool. I always love that cover. It always reminds me of very, very Dungeons and Dragons from the 80s with that cover. And then there was Kender Gully Dwarves and Gnomes was I believe the second one. I really like that cover for obvious reasons, but that's Elmore. I'm pretty that's Elmore. I believe this is Elmore 2 here. This is like a newer. These are like originals, first printings. I don't know what the printing is on this one. It's kind of a newer one. But that was the third Tales book. They're called the Tales books. Sorry, I'm kind of bopping around here. Let's see. First printing, 1987. This has got to be this is not a first printing. I don't know. Where's the date of the printing? Doesn't say. Doesn't even say what printing this is. That's kind of weird. You think they'd tell you what printing is it, but obviously this is not first, because you can tell the spines. They have a different. This one's got the the second edition when the TSR changed its logo, and there's the original TSR. So obviously this doesn't say which edition it is, but it's not the same edition. Now these I never read these. I have these. These are the Legends. This was the third trilogy, or technically the second trilogy, but it was not the because the short stories weren't the second trilogy. There's this one, which I believe is, let's see, I got them in order here. Time of the Twins. I know my buddy read these. I remember he was reading these in high school or junior high, or whenever it was when we were reading these. But I didn't read these ones here. I got them for the collection, but I need to go back and read them sometime. I reread the first three again, and I read some of these anthologies, kind of bopped back and forth to And that's how I read them originally. I just kind of, periodically I'd pick it up, I'd just read one of the short stories, and then I'd forget about it for a few weeks, and I'd pick it up again and read it, you know. But those are the novels for the most part. Now, they have a lot more than that. I mean, I don't know how many novels there are. You could go online, obviously, and there'll probably be a checklist, but there's got to be at least, because they have the heroes. They have different timeline, or different periods in the timeline as far as different characters. I think they actually have prequels, which I think is the Huma, Legends of Huma, I believe. It talks about the war, the big war before the first trilogy. Yeah, they were, like I said, to me, right about 1985, 86-ish, the Elmore art, the Keith Parkinson art, all the new modules are coming out, the new editions of the books. That really, outside of those first editions of the, you know, from like 79, 78 up to like 82, I would say this stuff really makes me think of Dungeons and Dragons. And it really makes me think of that 80s period of Dungeons and Dragons, going into the various hobby shops, whether it was Joe's Hobbies, Alcove Hobbies down in Woodward and Royal Oak. There are a bunch of different hobby shops, but going in there and seeing all the modules, and then of course even just going into bookstores like B. Dalton, Walden Books, Fireside, you know, all those type of places. They'd always have the books set up. They'd have the modules set up in a display. They really promoted the crap out of Dragonlance, and you know, rightfully so. It was amazing. I mean, it really brought people into Dungeons and Dragons, and you know, I already liked it at the time, so you know, this stuff was just, I just loved it. I mean, I loved the characters, I loved the world, I loved everything about it, loved the art. You know, obviously it was more on the art than the story itself, just how I am just in general. But yeah, you know, I would highly suggest seeking some of this stuff out if you're a big Dungeons and Dragons fan. You know, if you're a newer Dungeons and Dragons fan, you know, from, you know, because it became popular during the pandemic. If you became, you know, a big Dungeons and Dragons person on that, I would suggest going back and rereading these books. I'll get to the 5th edition has a Dragonlance book that came out last year, I think it was. I don't have it. I flipped through it at the hobby shop. I've got my issues with it. My biggest issue with it is that I don't know why they just discarded all of this stuff. I mean, it's almost like Disney with Star Wars, how they just discarded all of the, you know, the extended universe stuff. Wizards of the Coast is totally just, you know, they didn't even ask. Supposedly, this is from what they were saying, they didn't even ask Weiss and Hickman if they wanted to contribute to it. They just wanted to, like, I call it Dragonlance in name only, because that's pretty much all it is, from what I saw. You know, I haven't really got into the module. I haven't played the adventure. I kind of wanted to when I was playing D&D heavily downtown, but I don't know, it just doesn't, it's too new, and it just doesn't have the same feel as this older stuff. And I'll get to my comments on that. I mean, obviously, every time I do one of these videos, you always know I'm going to say something about how it's so much better back then. And, of course, it's a subjective opinion, and you had to have grown up then, or be, you know, had to have lived through that time period to be able to say that with any kind of truth, you know. So, but I just feel it is. I mean, it's just, it was so much better back then. You know, I just loved everything about it. I mean, you know, books weren't $50 a piece. You know, they weren't these giant full-color, you know, tomes, you know, that you really don't even really need. You know, it's all just kind of there to make money. And obviously they were trying to make money back then, but I just feel like it really is a cash grab nowadays. And it's a cash grab and they're doing everything wrong. I could see a cash grab and they're doing everything right. But it's like, not only is it a cash grab, but they're screwing up everything too. Again, it's my opinion. You know, you're entitled to your own opinion, whether or not you like it or not. I personally don't. But let's get into some of the stuff here and give you a little bit more visuals on everything. I just pulled up a Google search here, Google image search with Dragonlance, but Let me go into first. I'll show you the books so you see a little bit better picture of them. There's the first book, Dragons of Autumn Twilight. Then there's the second book. Oh, why did they do this? Yeah, I hate this. They gotta click on it separate. Okay, there we go. There's the second book. And these all have the Larry Elmore artwork on it. There's Dragons Winter Night. One thing that caught my attention, I'll show you more so the modules, is when they have these blue dragons, and for some reason just the blueness of these blue dragons and this Elmore artwork and the Parkinson artwork and Easily, it's just like, oh, I really like blue dragons. They're really cool. I just like the color of them. I thought they were really neat looking. I mean, I guess it's the same thing for the green dragons as well and the red dragons, but that blue really stood out to me. So I'm going to also show you, let's go to the modules. I'll go to my folder with the modules. So you can see that there's DL1, which is a TSR 9130 if you want to look at the stock number. But you got DL1, which is Dragons of Despair. Now that one pretty much is right. That takes, I mean, all the events in that is straight up from the first book. And you can even, they have character cards and pre-generated characters if you want to play the actual characters from the book. And then they've got, and I'll kind of show you how they lay out the modules. And one thing is also, the art, not just the artwork, but like the graphic design of all this and the way those original modules looked. I mean, sorry, I'm just trying to find a place to put that. I'm going to fall over. But yeah, I really love the look of the art. I love the design of the modules too. You got your maps and stuff on here. You got your table of contents. It's a scene in the book where they go into the forest, and then there's it's like this unicorn that's kind of like the keeper of the forest type of thing. I can't remember the words they used to describe it, but it's obvious as a D&D module. It's set up like any D&D module, but I just want to see if I flip and show you some of the scenes and stuff. That's a pretty classic scene in the book when the black dragon appears. There's a black dragon there flying out of the hole. Here's the character cards. Oh, sorry. This was cool. I taught myself. It's only like 4 chords, I think, or 3 chords. This whole song, but I played the song, and I wasn't really sure how it was sang. And so I kind of looked online, saw some people at a Renaissance festival singing this song. It's a song of Gold Moon. There's some music in it. And the whole point they put this in the modules that, if you did play guitar and sing, or somebody in the group did, they were supposed to, it was just adding some atmosphere to the modules. So somebody would play it and sing it. That's kind of a cool concept. I don't think they do that anymore. But I thought that was kind of cool. They never did it. We never did it back in the day. And that goes into that mine where they have where the gully doors are. Oh, I just did not like that whole scene, but it doesn't take too much away from the book. But I just want to flip to see if I think the character cards are in this. Oh, maybe not this one. There's DL3. Where's DL2? Oh, DL. I just got these out of order. Okay. But I loved when I saw that for the first time as a kid, the dragon riders and everything. It's just so sweet. And there, so there's that blue dragon. I just love the cover of that module and that painting. Oh, I'm going to show you the artwork a little bit better in the book, the artwork book. Dragons of Light, I loved this painting, and there's Lorana. I just loved her. I just thought she was amazing looking, very appealing looking. That cool elven with the white hair and the elf ears and a crazy thigh on her there. I just loved it, and I love that stone dragon fortress in the background in the mountains. I always thought that was so cool. But let's so there was a series of modules. How many were there? There was, I don't have them all. I think the last one I have is DL11, but I think there's a bunch more. And I'm pretty sure they went into 2nd edition. I'm not 100% certain on that, but I'm pretty sure they did. But yeah, I really liked it. I mean, I still like it today, but obviously, and that's the thing is, I'm trying to, in a perfect world, I could get people together and they could play this again, and we could just play all the Dragonlance modules, because I didn't go through all of them, and I would love to. I would love to sit down and go through all of them, and even if they have to convert it to 5th edition, that's fine. Um, I'm surprised nobody's done this. I'm surprised nobody's converting any of this stuff over. And I know it's kind of right now because of the open game license. I don't know what's come about of that. I have kind of stopped paying attention to it. Kind of got sick of people talking about it. But I don't know if I don't know if people could even do that. It would have been nice, if they could have brought that back, or even Wizards of the Coast doing it. But obviously they have no interest in this even existing, so outside of just selling the name. And again, I find that stupid. Why would you use the name recognition to sell the new campaign setting for the new edition, but not... So, I mean, who is your target audience? Is it new people? If it's new people that don't even know what this is, then are they arbitrary at that point? Can't you just make up your own new campaign settings that would be more akin to what younger people in the younger aesthetic that people like and newer gamers like, than rehash this old stuff? And if you are going to rehash the old stuff, why not be more faithful to the people who actually know what it is? I don't know. I just find it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, I saw, they got Planescape coming out now. Now, I never played Planescape. That was 2nd edition, and I never really played it. I never really even played Spelljammers. But it's like they're so I couldn't tell you anything about the novels or anything like that. But I don't understand why they're doing that. And in the default game world in 5th edition now is Forgotten Realms. But I don't think, like, Elminster or any of the Forgotten Realms characters are even showing up in any of the new books. So again, it's just like, okay, was what made it popular, and now you're just, you got Waterdeep, you've got these key locations that were in the campaign world, but none of the characters. I don't know, I just find that dumb. I guess they're making more money now than they ever did before, so I guess who's really to say anything? I don't know if they're still making hand over fist money like they were during the pandemic, but that year that the pandemic started in 2020, that they made more money in 1 year than the Dungeons and Dragons has made its entire existence. And that's insane. So I guess at that point, what do they care? They're making more money than they ever did before. It's not like this stuff made them more money. So I guess what's the point of rehashing all this stuff? Because there's probably, I would assume there's royalties to be paid out to people who worked on this stuff. I don't know if they work like that, but I would assume that's probably the case. So, I guess it's more problematic to them. So why not just start anew? Because they own the type, they own the campaign world. But if they repurpose any of this old artwork, maybe they have to pay royalties, and they don't want to do that. Whatever. I just find that it just seems like all these new companies, just every one of them, for the most part, just keep shitting on all this old properties, and just exploit, basically exploiting it every possible way, and not paying any kind of respect to any of the old stuff. That's just my opinion, and that's what I see. That's how I feel. So. Maybe people have different opinions. Maybe people who are, as old as I am that know about this and play this stuff, maybe they have different opinions. I don't know. But let's click over to let's see, do I got the art book pulled up here? Yeah, I got the art. Okay, so here's the art of Dragonlance. Now, again, I don't think this is a real version of it, because this is like Valiant in the corner. So this is like somebody else's, who put this book together in this CBR form, probably just collected images online and just made this book out of it. But that's not it sort of looks like that, the original cover, but it was different. There's the Kender, which is kind of like their halfling race that's in the books. You've got the just totally drawn a blank on the name of the village now, where the tree houses are. Where basically the first scenes of of the movie, the book start, or the book start. Maybe I'll refresh it when I look at the graphic novel pages. I might remember. I just can't remember the name of the city or village or whatever it's called. There's that piece that's on the that's in the which one is it? The Magic of Kryn, one of the anthology books. Like I said, whenever I think of Dungeons and Dragons like an adventuring party, this is so iconic when it comes to that. I always loved that. And of course, here's some of the characters in the book from the covers. These are the covers. And of course, there's the original cover there. You've got Tanis. You've got Gold Moon. You've got sorry, it's the afternoon and I'm sleepy. My monster's wearing off, so I'm starting to forget the names. What's the name of the? He's a knight, a Solaris knight. His name is. I can't remember his name. I have to pull out. That's why I look at the character cards so I can remember everybody's name. I can't remember everybody's name. I know Tanis. I know just because he's one of my favorite characters. Gold Moon. You can't. How can you forget Gold Moon? God, what is his name? I like her too a lot. What do you call it? The one girl who's not there in the beat that they talk about, and then she ends up showing up later. The hell is her? Oh no, sorry, that's not her. That's the girl from the bar. The other girl. There she is. Yeah, her. I can't remember what her name is either. Barefoot Tasselhoff is the Kinder. That's Lorana there. God, I cannot remember some of these characters' names. That's Caraman. That's Caraman there. And Raceland, the wizard. Sorry. Totally brain farting here. I remember that was a calendar at one time. That's the cover of, I think, the Legend of Huma #1. I love, I think that's Parkinson, or that's I think that's Keith Parkinson's artwork there. Like I said, they're different. Each one of those artists were different, but they did very similar work, and they were obviously doing the same characters. Like, again, I think that what's his face? I think some of these type of artwork, these pieces are great, but when it comes to the actual characters themselves, I feel that what's his face? Larry Elmore does the best version of these characters. Some of these are from other like I said, modules that I don't have that were later on. Again, I don't think this is this collection. There's Dragons of Despair, that first module. I don't think that this is a real version of the book. I love that too. There was the Gamma World had that cover. I think it was like 3rd edition Gamma World. Had that cool chrome rat looking thing. Like robot, like cyborg rat. And I love this. I think this is an Iron Dragon? Silver? No, I think it's an Iron Dragon, I believe. Because silver dragons are just silver in color. I believe this is an Iron Dragon that she was riding. Or Steel Dragon. Can't remember. But I just love that chrome look to it. That looks so cool. God, what is her name? Sorry, I guess I should have wrote some of these names down and stuff before I started the video, just so I can remember stuff. But, there is so much useless information up here that eventually I glitch. There's a glitch in the Matrix at some point, and my brain just can't remember everything. Obviously Gold Moon's hard to forget. It looks like another one of those... what did I say? Clyde Caldwell, Jeff Easley, Clyde Caldwell, Jeff Easley, Keith Parkinson, and Larry Elmore. Those are the 4 artists. Okay, I can remember those now. I think this is Clyde Caldwell's art, I believe, or is this Easley? I can't remember. It's probably listed. I don't know if it's listed in this book, but I think the original book it was listed. These backgrounds, I think Keith Parkinson was the one that was known for doing just amazing backgrounds. Just it's a very fantasy world. There's that Blue Dragon, that one I really like that cover. Again, one of my favorites of all time is that one there. That's another good one. That's the cover of those this series here. These ones here. Yeah, there's that one. Yeah. I said I didn't read these, so I couldn't tell you what those are about. I think I know what they're about, but I didn't actually read them. I read some of the notes and stuff to it. She's cool looking. I thought she was neat looking. I know they had the underwater elves, and I can't remember what they're called. There's there was miniature sets for these that came out back then, and just seeing all this artwork really takes me back to that time period. And so that I'd say 1985 to like 1990, 91, that whole period of time, this stuff just it just reminds me. I remember the miniature boxes, the boxes for the miniatures. I remember a lot of the calendars that came out, puzzles that would come out you'd see in the bookstores, posters, like wall scroll posters and stuff. A lot of promotional stuff for this stuff. It was just neat. It says the name of the pieces, but not the artists. And like I said, I don't think that's not the back cover. And like I said, this Valiant thing, I don't know if that means Valiant Comics or what that is, or somebody's signature, company signature, I don't know, whatever. Let's go into, let me just briefly show you this, just because I want to show the contrast. Okay, here is the DC comic Dragonlance that came out, and it was not terrible, but yeah, you could tell it's very much of its time, and I don't think that this art style, this comic book art style, so this is the DC art style, kind of lent well to this world. I mean, maybe it's just the color. I think the drawings look fine, although it's some pretty crazy looking faces. I think it's the colors just are too saturated, and they don't, you're going from those Dungeons and Dragons like paintings that are masterfully done, and then you get to this. I just don't think it translates very well to the simple, Marvel color, or Marvel or DC color system. Yeah, it doesn't. Like I said, it doesn't look terrible. Does it say your name? I cannot remember what your name is. Oh, sorry. Not only am my memory failing me now, I'm starting to fall asleep because it's getting the afternoon sleepies. Hopefully at some point, maybe when these videos take off and make me millions of dollars, or like I said, I'm pretty much resigned to the fact that I'm going to be working till I'm dead. I'm going to probably keel over at this, or whatever futuristic version of this Wacom when it's a hologram or something. Although I'm probably only going to stick around for another 30 years, hopefully 40. But I'll probably be working till forever. What would be nice is if I could afford to take a nap in the afternoon. Now I understand what's his face? Who's the comedian? The guy got in trouble a little while ago. Got it. Names. Not Bill Burr. The other one. The other guy. That guy. What the heck is his name? But that comedian, he said, he says at 50 years old, what's better than sex? Naps. And I think he's right. I think being able to take a nap every day that's nirvana right there. And I definitely I'm starting to, I don't know about the better than sex part now that I'm thinking about it, looking at that drawing. But anyways, yeah, I'd love to be able to take naps. See that? I mean, that artwork looks great, but the blue dragon color just doesn't translate well to that. Okay, well, enough of this one. Like I said, there was a bunch of these. I don't know how many issues they went. I think they went into like the hundreds, maybe. They lasted for a pretty long time. That's 1988, so yeah, for number one. They went into the 90s, so it's got that look to it, especially of DC at the time. But let's go to these. Now these, I never had. I saw these all the time at the bookstore, and I never had one. I have them in my thrift books now. If they ever come in, I'd like to grab a copy of them. Actually, I think the first one came in. Someone wants like $45 for it. It's like, nah, I'm not paying that for it. But These are nice. I didn't really know what they were at first until I actually looked at it. This one's written by Roy Thomas too. The guy who wrote pretty much all the Conan stuff. Um, I don't really know who the illustrator is. Thomas Yeats. I'm not sure what else he's done, but I know Roy Thomas. Um, but yeah, I'm not saying the colors are great in this, but the artwork is really nice, and it really really. And this is the tale. I mean, this is right up straight from the book. It pretty much tells the story. It's the graphic novel version of this book. So if you don't want to read this big, not that big, but if you want to read the book, and if you were to ask, 15 or 14-year-old me, would you rather read this book or read this graphic novel? What do you think my answer is going to be? I'm going to say read the graphic novel. But no, it pretty much, there's Raistlin. Tanis. Oh God, what's the name of the dwarf? I gotta see if they show his name because I'm totally blanking on all the names. How can I not remember his Flint Fireforge? How can I forget that name? Flint Fireforge is the dwarf. They kind of meet up. I know they run into a hobgoblin, I think. Oh no, first they bump into Tassel or Barefoot Tasselhoff or Tasselhoff Barefoot. Yeah, Tasselhoff Barefoot, the Kinder, and he's kind of like he's like the trickster. He's like the comedy relief. He's always doing he's like a kid. He's very impulsive, does crazy things. He gets them into trouble a lot of times. I mean, he's essentially that archetype of a character. And he's always fighting back and forth with Flint, kind of like the Gimli Legolas. I mean, obviously there's a lot of similarities between this and Lord of the Rings. I mean, this essentially is the Dungeons and Dragons 80s version of Lord of the Rings for the most part. They run into this hobgoblin boss, and then they end up just going sick house on him. I think they kill them all. And he works for somebody. Like I said, I'm not going to go into the story. There's the Inn of the Last Home. What's the name of the village? Do they talk about where they're going? It's got a name. Obviously, it has a name. It's not just called the Inn of the Last Home. But essentially, it's Elrod's house. I mean, it's like I said, it's a lot of very Lord of the Ringsy. And then they show up here. This is where they're going to run into Raistlin and then Goldmoon and her buddy, the barbarian guy. What is his name? God. Let's see if they say the names. I'm forgetting the names of everybody. There's Karam. Yeah, they meet up with Caramon, who's the Salamic Knight, or however you pronounce that. They find Raistlin. Raistlin looks weird because he's been dabbling in the dark arts of magic. Yada yada yada. I still haven't talked about what's that girl's name? This girl here. She ends up joining later. Oh, she's really nice there. What the heck is her name? Oh, Kitiara. Kitiara. Oh no, sorry. Kitiara is the girl who's not there. She's the girl that comes later. She's the one that becomes the Dark Lord. Blah 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 blah. Not Kitty. That's not Kitiara. What is her name? But Kitiara's. I like her too, even though I can't remember her name. Shows you how much I like her. What the heck is the girl's name? Alright, I guess I'm not seeing it. But anyways, she ends up joining the party originally. So, Goldmoon shows up with Riverwind. Riverwind, yeah, that's the her buddy, or her, I don't know if it's her husband or boyfriend or whatever it is. He's like her protector. She's got the staff, blah, blah, blah. The old guy's telling the story. Like I said, I'm not going to go through the whole story, but this graphic novel is pretty close to the books. I mean, it's abridged, obviously. They're not going to do the book note for note. But it's pretty darn close. And then she sings the song, and this is the song that's in the module. So when you get to this point in the game module, that's when somebody pulls out the lute or ukulele or guitar or whatever. And yeah, I think it's set up for guitar and the chords, or maybe even if they play the piano. But it's supposed to be for like guitar. Classical guitar would work really nice, or just an acoustic. If you had an actual lute, that would be cool. and play the. She sings a song here. Like I said, it's very hippy dippy. It's very of that time, but I like it. I think it is very hippy dippy, but I like it. It's very Fleetwood Mac-y. I mean, whenever you see any fantasy people who are older people, not young people, but I'm talking like we go to like the Renaissance Festival and stuff like that. It's just you see like people that are like my age and stuff. It's so Fleetwood Mac. I just Fleetwood Mac just keeps going through my head every time I look at people. It's like, oh, there's another Stevie Nicks. There's another Mick Fleetwood. So it's got that whole feel to it. Very 70s, 80s Renaissance Festival, Fleetwood Mac-y. That vibe. Like again, I don't think that vibe really exists. I know there's Renaissance Festival, but now everybody at the Renaissance Festival is all like steampunk and oni horns and there's so much of the Japanese manga influence and like steampunk and all this other modern crap that I don't like. It's so prevalent because most of the people, at the Renaissance Festival, a lot of them are younger people, and they're into the younger fantasy aesthetic, and it's just, it doesn't have that same old kind of like, are they so pot at this place kind of feeling, it's like, is everybody getting high? Is everybody banging each other and getting high whenever you go there? I don't get that feeling now, like everybody's banging each other and getting high. Maybe they are, but it just has this, I just have this weird kind of like bohemian, hippy-dippy, Fleetwood Mac-y kind of thing where everybody's banging each other and getting high. That's what I used to think when I used to go to the Renaissance Festival. Now I just realize I feel like everybody's going to go play, once they get out of the Renaissance Festival, the next stop's San Diego Comic-Con, where they're going to play Dance Dance Revolution and read the newest Naruto comic. I get that feeling now when I go. I don't get everybody's a hippie from the 70s and, everybody's an ex-biker and they're all banging each other and getting high all the time. I don't get that feeling anymore when I go. I like that old feeling. Yeah, so like I said, this stuff comes from that whatever I'm trying to describe. This, I'm not saying Tracy Weiss and Margaret Hickman or Tracy Hickman and Margaret Weiss were, a bunch of potheads, but I mean, I just get that feeling, that kind of like, yeah, you get like the kind of the older woman who's wears lots of tie-dye shirts and lives in a trailer, and you go to her trailer and the trailer's filled with crystals and astrology stuff and lots of dragon statues that she bought at the Paper Tiger at the mall, and everything smells like incense and vaguely like pot. And there's a taint smell of some dudes banged her on the couch kind of feeling. I just get that kind of weird, maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just my weird imagination, but I just get that whole weird feeling when I see a lot of these like old school like fantasy people, or like when you used to go to gaming conventions or science fiction conventions or even comic conventions before like the anime craze, when, there's nothing but hot models running around with cosplay costumes on. Back when most of the women there were, I'm not going to say that they're unattractive, but there's just a certain type of people that used to hang out. And that goes with the dudes, too. I mean, there was no dudes who had six-packs that were, going there half naked to be some cosplay character. Most of the dudes, had 100 pounds on me, It's just the way. Their glasses were 5 times as big as the glasses I would wear because for some reason their cheeks need to see. Same thing with the girls too. But yeah, and there's probably some Fleetwood Mac Rumors albums out in the vehicles on the tape decks of most of the people in those that were going. Yeah, so that's the graphic novel. Like I said, it's pretty cool. I think it is a pretty good representation of the books. And there are, go to the saga, there's 4 of them, and it pretty much goes through the whole shebang. Goes through all the original trilogy, and It's worth reading. Like I said, if you don't want to read the novels, I would say this is probably the next best thing. If you're really hardcore and you like to torture yourself, read the just read the modules. I think the modules also follow this pretty closely. So, I mean, if you play the modules, it's fine. But if you're one of those weird people, like I kind of was for a while, where it's just like, I don't want to read the book, and I don't really want to read the graphic novel, but they have a module that's based on that story. So I'd rather just read the module just for the story. You're not actually playing the game. It's almost like reading a choose-your-own-adventure book, but not choosing your own adventure. I used to do like the Paranoid module. I used to love the Paranoia modules for that role-playing game. So I just thought they're so funny. So I used to just read the modules for the story. But same thing with the Dragonlance and stuff like that. Actually, a lot of the modules of D&D I never played through. I would say probably 85% of all the Dungeons and Dragons modules of first edition I never played through as a group. And I'm not saying I read them all, but I probably read a majority of them modules just as stories, just to read, just for entertainment. Obviously the game's for entertainment, but yeah, and you could do that. You can do that with anything. I think I've read more of the 5th edition modules than I've played, and I seem like I've played a pretty good chunk last year. 2002, yeah, me and my son played a lot. We played in the Adventures League, and we played some other campaigns, and but I've read pretty much, not all of them, but I read a lot of the books that are out, and just to get the story, just because I want to know the story. It's kind of, I mean, people say don't do that because if you want to play the game, you're going to know the story. I want to know the story. Like I said, I like to get the novelization to the movie before the movie comes out so I can read it, and then I know what the movie's going to be about when I go see the movie. And then I like, oh yeah, that happened. Oh yeah, I remember this part. Oh, this part's going to come up. Oh, I know what's going to happen next. I like that. I like the spoilers. Speaking of spoilers, I'm not going to say any spoilers, but I watched the Ahsoka last night, the first 2 episodes, and I don't know what to say about that stuff. I enjoyed it. I'm not really gonna. I guess I should do an Ahsoka video. I guess if I continue to watch it, but which I want to. I've got my issues with it. I've got my issues with everything, though. A lot of stuff is, a lot of stuff do I think it could be done better? Yeah, do I think, but I like bits and pieces of stuff. Now there's, like, the Obi-Wan show. I did not like that. Everybody liked Andor. I mean, I liked it. There's aspects I didn't like about it. And it's just like anything. I mean, like I said, I was talking about this book. I love this book, but there's a section of it that I think just drag. And it's like, oh, get on with it. Let's get through this part. Oh, I don't like this part. Like I said, not so much of the rest of the series. The rest of the series flows a little better, but, you're gonna get that in any, longer narrative. There's probably gonna be scenes you don't care for, and so you just want to kind of skip over it. I mean, again, I'll take it back to Return of the Jedi, probably my favorite movie of all time, and I was twiddling my thumbs every time they were in the Emperor's throne room with Luke and Vader. Now, obviously, I love that scene now, but as a kid, I was like, come on, I want to get back to the Endor battle, get back to the spaceship battle. I don't want to see these 3 people just sitting here talking. To me, that was boring. So yeah, you're not gonna like every single scene of everything. I mean, there's some stuff you do. I guess just depends on what it is. But let me just close out this on the. I kind of touched on it before, but let me close out on it. I'm just gonna pull it up. I just got it up on Amazon for right now. But here's just see if they have a good picture of the cover so you can see it. Really? There we go. Okay. So here's the. This is the new Dragonlance. It's not new now. It came out last year. But this is the Dragonlance new campaign setting book, which has an adventure in it. They have a box set version, like a board game version of this, where you could play it just as a board game, or you could use the board game supplements in the actual adventure. It's kind of neat. I think that's kind of a cool idea. Not for what the price they want to charge for it, though. I mean, you got to think about this. I know things are changed. I know things are different. I know things cost more to produce, yada, 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 everything down the road. But when you were younger, and like, you wanted a Dragonlance module, right? It was like $6. Or $5. And you'd go to the hobby shop and you'd buy it for $5. And it was yay thick, and it was, most of it was black and white. You could buy this stuff. You even bought the hardcover books. They were like $10. In the 90s, I think they raised them to like $15, maybe $20. I don't think they were that much. I don't think they hit $20 until the 2000s with third edition. So you've got, but now it's like, you want $50? I don't think they want more than that now for these books. Let me just see. Close this down. Oh, you can get it new for $28, but that's the sale price. Yeah, originally list price $49.95. So if you go to like your local game store, which I suggest you do, to buy it, I can't afford to do this. I mean, in theory, I love the idea of supporting your local game store because I like to be able to go to places, and you're going to pay the full price when you go to these local places. Sometimes they run specials, or they have different incentives to save you money. But, with Amazon chart at 43% off, you're not going to get that good of a deal at these game stores. And the thing is, if you had a lot of money, I would definitely, I say if I had a lot of money, I'd do lots of things. I would support more people on Patreon. I would give people money who need money, But the thing is, I don't have a lot of money. I'm not saying I'm destitute, but I'm not that well off to where I can spend that much. I need to cut my corners, and be pretty frugal with my money to make it last. And if you can get a deal on something, you can get 43% off on it. It's just like, to me, it's a no-brainer. Sure, I can't support my local hobby shops. I don't have that kind of money, and the problem is I don't see a lot of people who game have that kind of money. You go to you look at some, but you go online though, and you watch YouTube and watch these videos and stuff. These people have like everything, and they've got tons of it, and they just seem like they've got these, look like $1 million apartments or $1 million houses and stuff. It's just like, oh my God, people. I don't know how truthful it is, but it gives you an appearance like people are just made out of money. This is my 600 square foot 1-bedroom apartment, right? Obviously, you can tell with only 70-some subscribers that I'm not made out of money. I mean, I do other things online that do make me money, but it didn't make me rich. I don't have rock star money, I'm just getting by kind of money. So, I don't know. I feel like the internet culture, even though I'm right now in the internet culture, I just find it can get toxic. It can get toxic, and I feel like it does sometimes, more than sometimes, does more harm than good. I mean, it's nice to have. It's nice to be able to have all this stuff at our fingertips. It's nice, to have communities of people, like-minded people, to get together and have conversations or hang out or whatever. But at the same time, I think that there's a lot of narcissism and superficiality and a bunch of other things like that online that just, I don't know. I don't think it's healthy for people. I'm not going to say stop using the internet. Obviously, I want you to use the internet and follow my station. I don't want to sound like a complete hypocrite, but, at the back of my mind, I just keep thinking, I just get this knee-jerk reaction to this kind of weird buzzing in the back of my ears that go, maybe you shouldn't be drinking all that gin and tonics. Maybe you shouldn't be smoking all those cigarettes. I don't smoke anymore, but maybe you shouldn't be eating all of those cheesecakes, right? It's probably not a good idea. I just get that same feeling when I see a lot of stuff online, and I get real heavy in line, where I'm like, yeah, you know what I'm talking about, where you go down rabbit holes and stuff on the internet, and you're like, I get more information, more stimuli, must have more, right? I get that, when I get to that feeling, I definitely get that feeling of, you know, I step outside yourself and go, you got a problem, sir. You need to do something about that. This might kill you. I get that when it comes to the internet. So enough of that soapboxing, you know. Like I said, it's just my opinion. You can agree with it or not, disagree with it. I would like for people to talk, to comment, tell me your opinion and stuff. You know, I don't want to be an echo chamber, but at the same time, I would like to hear other people's opinions. You know, like I said, I mean, I don't really have a lot of filter on some of the things that I say, and I'll just say stuff. So, you know, if you want to call me out on it or challenge me on it or scold me for not knowing all the names of all the characters in these books, even though I just read them recently and I can't remember everything. Maybe it's just in getting old and senile. Maybe that's all it is. But anyways, let me switch back here. So, again, subscribe. Remember, forget all that stuff I said about the internet being bad. Subscribe. I don't know what I'm going to be doing tomorrow. I might, I'm to the, like this video here will post tomorrow, so I'm pretty much close to the wire, and I got, my son's coming over to me. He goes back to school soon, so I'll be more free in the afternoon, but he's coming over tomorrow early, and I'm not going to get a lot of stuff done, but I need to get another video out, because if I don't, I'm going to be recording Friday's video. I'm not going to be posting it until I record it in the afternoon, and you know, I don't know when that's going to be, so I need to do something for tomorrow. Even if it's a short one, I'll blab about something. Again, these are all arbitrary deadlines I create for myself. You know, do I have to post one every Monday through Friday? I want to. My miss one, is the plane going to come out of the sky? Probably not. So, but I like to be consistent. So I'll try to get something out as quick as possible. If I forget a day, everybody's going to just drop my channel because I forgot a day and they're going to leave. It's just how the internet works. Again, yes, it is toxic. All right, I'll talk to you tomorrow or the next day or whenever it is. I'll talk to you in the next video. How about that? What's coming? Got a Blue Oyster Cult. That heavy metal soundtrack did ship. I got a notification this morning that it shipped, so that'll be coming in soon. Snake Mountain is going to be here supposedly next Monday or Tuesday, whatever the 29th is. But everybody's, I guess, says the 29th, so I don't know if they're really going to get all of these Snake Mountains, these Motu Origin Snake Mountains, all out at the same time. But if it does, I'll try to, maybe I'll even do an unboxing. You know, maybe I'll save it, I'll keep it in this box until it's time to do the video, and I'll do an unboxing so we can do that. That might be fun, right? All right. But until then, I'll talk to you guys on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.